But now let's bring in tonight's panel. As always on a Monday, Sky News host Liz Storer and contributor Joe Hildebrand. Welcome to you both.
Welcome, thank you. Lovely to be here.
Joe, let's start with you. I want to get your reaction to what we saw today with Cheng Lei.
Look, I think Cheng Lei, I was talking about it on this network in this seat just last night. Cheng Lei is an incredible human being. I admire her resilience and strength enormously. I played I remember writing a column, calling for her release, like so many others. I'm not pretending that I did anything particularly special, but I just remember that as I was writing it, thinking, oh my God, we're just never going to see this poor woman again. She's not going to see her kids again. And, I hate bad news. I much prefer to deal with the rough and tumble of politics than horrible things like that. And yet she's here, she got back. Part of that, I think we have to acknowledge, was due to the way Anthony Albanese was able to reset the relationship, and he was able to have a word with Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the G20 summit. Apparently, this is how it came about. And so I think we sort of have to acknowledge that. Having said that, the ugliness of what happened today was clearly horrendous. I imagine it would have been, and you can just see from Cheng Lei herself how incredibly, sensible, and she didn't get hysterical about it. She didn't jump up and down. She was very clear. She was very analytical about what happened, which just makes me admire her even more. But that, I think, underlied the horror of what we were actually seeing, which is this kind of brute force totalitarian tactic in what is meant to be the heart of Australian democracy. I do think it's plausible. I think the PM said he didn't see it. I'm not sure if he said he didn't know about it, but he said
he wasn't aware of it.
He wasn't aware of it. He said he didn't see it, but that might have been a bit of plausible deniability. It may well have been that.
Well, he's going to have to face up to it.
He will absolutely.
In a press conference.
As soon as Premier League gets on a plane and it's no longer in the country, I think is when he'll face up to it. But that is the nature
but
of.
They'll be in WA tomorrow, so we can expect that the Prime Minister will be asked about this then. But Liz, I want to ask you about two things. One, that vision that we saw where the Australian official goes up to the Chinese officials, clearly says, can you stop standing in front of Cheng Lei and following her wherever she sits? And the Chinese official manhandles her, touches her, and overrules her. I mean, they are visiting guests in Australia. But the fact that they feel so emboldened to be this aggressive, to stand in front of Cheng Lei after locking her up wrongly for 3 years, tells you so much about how they see the current relationship with Australia.
100%. We are subservient to them and they know it. They know that we know about the cyber attacks on the daily that are targeting our energy, our water, our transport systems. They know that we know about all their moves in the South China Sea, them threatening Taiwan. They know that we answer to Washington and they're our closest ally. They talk about this at depth. I love reading their Global Times.
Well, we don't answer to it. We don't answer to it.
Our closest ally, and we follow them into every war that they choose to join. They know where we stand, we know where they stand, and we're in this ridiculous pantomime where they know that we know that they know that we know, and yet diplomacy has to happen. We are still very much reliant on China. They know that too. And so I actually don't find this all that shocking or at all. This is the Communist Chinese Party acting for all the world like the Chinese Communist Party. And what stood out most to me about this is we say, oh, how could they? How dare they? They're on our soil. Yeah, but who won? Who won that little altercation? Did we have, actual security guards escort them from the building and say, no, we are standing up for this woman in our press pack? No, we didn't. They won that altercation and China saw that and all the eyes in China saw that, and so did every single Australian who actually thinks that this government, if they are misled enough to believe that this government can even stand up for Australians to China, even on that tiny small scale, it would have sent a message. But we didn't send it, did we?
But just to clarify, everyone in Australia would have seen it. No one in China would have seen it.
No, because there's no free press,
yes,
which is
it was appalling but not shocking.
Although it would be something that they would be happy to show, because again, they won. This is us pushing around China.
They wouldn't even show it like that. They would just show this is Australia welcoming with open arms. And you're absolutely right. It is a dance. It's often a dance in which you get your hands dirty. if you're always evaluating, all right, do we make a big fuss about this? Do we make a fuss about it publicly? Do we do it privately? If we do that, what's China's likely response? Will we lose this free trade deal?
But that's the whole point, Joe. They condemn Israel every single day when Israel is doing very little, if anything, wrong at all. China engaging in the most egregious act against Australia, against our national sovereignty, and our Prime Minister is silent even when it happens before his very eyes.
I promise you, if Israel was our biggest trading partner, the response would be very different. And that's just real politics. It's ugly, but it's sadly true.